Okay, so for today, we're going to create an iOS WeatherKit app using CoreLocation and WeatherKit using SwiftUI. So to start off, we're going to start in Xcode and we're going to create a new Xcode project and iOS app. I'm going to call it Weather App for You, and my organization identifier is going to be just OB my initials, SwiftUI Swift. We're not using core data, and I'm just going to save it on the desktop, and I'm not going to create a Git repository either. I don't need one of those. So here is my Xcode with my app. While my preview loads, I'm just going to discuss, so to create this, you're going to need a Apple developer account. Here we go, our preview's loaded. The developer account can be free. And so you can sign into account at Apple Developer. And then when you're signed in, we're looking for the identifiers section here, under certificates, identifiers, and profiles. From there, you can click on this button or up the top, the blue button if you have some identifiers already. I'm going to use an app ID. It's going to be an app. And from there, I'm going to need to give it a description. So this app is called Weather App for You. So that's what I'm going to use, is Weather App for You. And my bundle ID is going to be, ob.weatherapp for you, because that's my bundle ID here. It's best if you copy and paste it from here, especially if you go to signing in capabilities, it gives you the access to copy and paste it. That way you've got it spelled correctly and the case is correct and everything like that. Before you hit continue, you need to go through capabilities all the way down to the bottom and select WeatherKit. And then again in app services, a second time, WeatherKit. So now capabilities and app services both have WeatherKit. Hit continue, it's going to confirm. So I said, yep, no worries, register. That's registered. It's all set up, ready to go now. So we don't need this anymore. Keep in mind, it may take up to half an hour for this to actually work. Sometimes it's quicker though. So it kind of depends. So in my app, the next thing I'm going to do is add the WeatherKit capabilities in that. So in signing capabilities where I am here, there's an add capability button here. So I'm going to need that, and I'm going to search for WeatherKit. There it is. I'm going to double tap on that, and it's going to add that in for me, and it's going to update my provisioning. So that kind of allows me to connect to WeatherKit. So basically that's all set up. So from there, we can start coding with WeatherKit. So the first thing I'm going to do when I'm coding, I'm going to create a new group from selection for the content view. These are my views. And I'm going to create a new group called models. So we've got models and views. And I'm just going to build succeeded, and my preview should update. We'll play with that in a bit. I'm going to create a new, not a new group in models, sorry, a new file in models. So I'm going to delete this group, and I'm going to create a new file. This is going to be my WeatherKit manager, so it's going to be a Swift file. WeatherKit manager. Here it is. So in order to access it, we can now, very exciting, import WeatherKit. So that's our library that we'll be using. It's going to be using async and await. So we're going to be marking our class with main actor. So it's going to be an observable object as well. So main actor, class WeatherKit manager as an observable object. And then what we're going to do, we're going to create a published variable called weather, of type weather, and that type is actually part of WeatherKit, which is pretty handy. I'm also going to make it optional, which means when the app first loads, before we've downloaded any weather data, it doesn't crash. And when it does load, it's published, so it will push an update to our view and update our view with it. So very convenient. So what we're then going to do inside our WeatherKit manager, we're going to create this function to get our weather. So it's going to be called func get weather. And I'm going to add later the coordinates, but for now we're just going to use just some standard coordinates. Let's use the coordinates for Apple Park, let's say. So we're going to do this asynchronously. Async do weather equals try await task dot detached, and we're looking for the priority detached priority dot user initiated. And then inside of that, so this is all on one line, we're going to return try await weather service, there it is, .shared .weather for, and we're going to need to initialize it with some coordinates. So we're going to get a latitude and a longitude. So the latitude for Apple Park is 37. You can put any coordinates in here you'd like, by the way, 0.322998. And what we're going to do as well is when we're, in a minute, we're going to come back here and we're going to update this anyway for the coordinates of the user. Okay, so this is for Apple Park. And then we're going to need the value. And then we're going to catch if there's an error. We're going to throw the fatal error with the message being, okay, so we're going to throw back the error if there is an error. So what we can also do as part of this weather, we can get some weather data. So at the end of the tutorial, I'll show you where you can go to see all of the different weather things that you can get. So outside of this get weather, I'm also going to create some just generic stuff here. So I'm going to create a symbol. This is going to be the weather symbol, which is really handy that it kind of downloads from Apple WeatherKit as an emoji. So weather.currentweather.symbol name, and if we don't find one, we're going just to use the system symbols X mark. So it's going to give like a little X to say that the weather is not downloaded yet. We can also do the same thing with the temperature. I'm going to create a temperature as a string. And again, we're going to use our weather if it exists, .currentweather.temperature. I might convert it to degrees Celsius because I'm not sure what format it comes in. And whoops, we've got a converted to function that's really cool. So I can actually just convert it to degrees Celsius like that. And I'm also going to grab the description. And that's really handy. That's extra handy because that's a string now instead of a double. And it gives me the degrees Celsius symbol as well. So that's going to come into the interface. Last thing, I'm going to return my converted temp if I can. If not, I will then say connecting to Apple Weather servers. Some sort of loading, downloading kind of style thing. Okay, so I'm just going to build really quickly now. Succeeded, excellent. So altogether, I'm just going to go up a little bit. We have our import foundation, import WeatherKit, our main actor, WeatherKit manager, which is going to have a published variable weather, a function get weather, a symbol, and a temperature. Okay, that's pretty much it. So then you can add extra symbols and extra temperatures, or you can just use directly, you can use the WeatherKit.weather.currentweather. Etc. So that's how you access all these different pieces of the WeatherKit. So let's swap now to my preview. Now, please note the preview sometimes will not load the weather data. So you might have to actually build and run onto your simulator to actually see the changes. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm just going to pop my simulator there for now. Okay, so let's modify the content view. I'm not going to go too much into the content view. This will be up to you guys to modify as you see fit. I'm just going to get rid of everything other than the V stack, which I'm going to convert to a horizontal stack, a H stack. So I'm going to have two pieces of text here. The first is going to be the weather icon. And the second, I'm going to copy and paste because I'm lazy, is the weather description. Oh, the temperature, I think it was. So weather icon, weather temperature. So to access the WeatherKit, I'm going to create an observed object. Let's call this WeatherKit manager. And that's lowercase w because it's going to be the variable that holds all the weather data, and that's going to be WeatherKit manager, and I'm initializing it. So when I initialize WeatherKit manager, it will eventually get weather. In fact, I don't think I actually created an initializer for this. We might have to do that later. Let's see how we go. So we've got our WeatherKit manager. So now to access the weather icon, I can just use, actually it's a string anyway, so I don't need to pass it into a string. I can just go WeatherKit manager dot, whoops, symbol. And so it'll say X mark. And then I can use the same here for temperature dot temp. And in fact, back in my manager, I might use this. We'll change this from text. We'll change this to a label with a title and a system image. So the title is going to be the temperature, because then we don't need that string. And the system image is going to be the symbol. So then you've got the X mark and it's connecting to Apple Weather servers. So that's really quite convenient that it combines them together for us. So the last thing we've got to do is we've got to actually initialize our get our weather kind of thing, because we haven't initialized it. So like we said before, there might be a problem there. So what we're going to do is basically here with this padding is, if you want, you can leave it there. And then we're going to do dot task. Inside that, we're going to do await. Whoops, we don't need that. I'm just going to do await WeatherKit manager dot get weather. So that should then connect and get the weather, which it just has. Look at that. So that's, unfortunately, that's only the weather for Apple Park. So to get the weather for us is the next step. So yeah, really quite convenient. So next we're going to do our CoreLocation. So for that, the first thing I'm going to need to do is add an entry to the info.plist, so we can access the user's location. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to go to info, and in here I'm going to have to add a new one. So this is going to be called privacy dash location when in use, location when in use, usage description. So I'm going to use that one, and I'm going to say to get the weather for your location. Or something like that, something probably a little bit more professional even. So next, I'm then going to add a location manager. That's a Swift file. Okay, so we're ready for our location data manager code. So we've imported foundation. We're going to import CoreLocation as well. And we're going to create our class location data manager, or just location manager even. It's going to be an NS object, and it's going to be an observable object, which means it'll change the interface, and a CL location manager delegate. Whoops, manager delegate. It's going to do all in one. So we're going to need our location manager, and we're going to initialize our CL location manager. And we're going to have a published variable, which is authorization status. CL authorization status. That way we can kind of play with it, and it's going to be optional too with the question mark, so we can play with it depending on whether or not a user has actually accepted to share location or not. We're also going to need a latitude as a double, and we're going to need a longitude as well. And the latitude is going to be location manager, location, coordinate, latitude. And if we don't have a latitude, I might go back to my WeatherKit manager and just do the latitude. Actually, normally you would pass in a default latitude to prove. Yeah, I'll just pass in this one anyway. It's going to be hard to prove that it works. longitude now too. And we're going to use the same location manager coordinate longitude. Otherwise, I'm going to go back and use this default for Apple Park as well. So if the user hasn't provided their location, it's just going to say the Apple Park coordinates. I'm also going to override my init, my initializer. Let it initialize, and then I'm going to assign the location manager delegate to self, because I've set it up here. So as part of that, I'm going to need to create the function location manager did change authorization. That one there. And I'm going to switch on the manager.authorization status. And we're going to handle all of these different cases. So if it's authorized when in use, then we've got our location services available. So I'm just going to make a quick comment to say that they are available. Then our authorization status is going to be authorized when in use. And my location manager dot request location. So I can actually ask for the user's location. If in the other case though, I'll leave a gap, case restricted. Oops, that's not how we do cases. Then we don't actually have, they're unavailable, we can't use them. So my authorization status is going to be restricted, and I'm just going to break. If they're denied, so the user said, nope, sorry, don't want access to it, then we're also unavailable. Then we're also going to say authorization status is denied, and we're going to break. Not determined is the next one. And again, when it's not determined yet, we can request when in use authorization. So basically, when they haven't made a decision whether or not to use the core location, then we can ask them. So we're going to say authorization status is going to be not determined, and we're going to say manager.request location, and then break. And then to handle the rest of the cases, because its switch must be exhaustive up here, we've got a problem. So we're going to say then default. So in all other cases, just break. So basically, if we are authorized to use it, then we're requesting the location. Otherwise, if it's not determined, we're then going to ask, can we have your location, please? Otherwise, it's restricted or denied. And therefore, we're not going to update location either. So basically, we have our location manager did change authorization. So the next function we're going to do, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of this function. We're going to create two more functions. We're going to create a function location manager, and this one is going to be the did update locations. This one here, did update locations, and we're just going to leave that blank for now. And our other one is the location manager did fail with error. This one here. So if you did update the locations, we're going to do something, or you can actually trigger something if you want to when the person moves, or if there is a problem, like it failed, then we're going to print the error, whatever the error is. And in fact, we might even use the localized description. So when it outputs down here, it kind of makes more sense what's going on. So that's basically it, ready to go. I'm going to build again, and we've succeeded. So the next step is, now that we've got our location, now we actually should be using it in our WeatherKit manager file. So up here, when we get weather, we're going to update this a little bit. We're going to include the latitude as a double and the longitude as a double as well. So then when we're initializing, instead of using our preset Apple Park latitude, I'm going to replace that with the latitude that we're passing in our function, and our longitude as the longitude that we're passing into the function. So it's no longer for Apple Park, so now it's determined by the user. I'm going to build that as well. So that's actually failed, and the reason why is because back in my content view, when I'm getting my weather, I need to then get my location. And so to get location in the content view, we've just got to create our object to hold it. This is going to be a state object. Location manager, location manager, and then initializing it. And next what we're going to do is if we can access the coordinates, then we're going to get our location, otherwise it's not going to work. So our body sum view, basically all of this is going to say if our location manager dot authorization status is equal to authorized when in use, so the user has given the access to it, I'm going to use my HStack with my actually I don't even need a HStack really, this is just a label that's it's all in once. So again, this is where you'd create your pretty view with all of your weather details. That includes all your structures and your HStacks and all that. And we're also going to grab this task await and attach that to this view. So this will be like if you put a V stack in here, a vertical stack, and then your label is going to go inside of that, and then the task await attaches to the most external element there. Okay, we still need to fix our get weather. So this time, actually I'm going to use this to fix it. It's just going to pass in the latitude and longitude. So the latitude is going to be location manager dot latitude, and the longitude is going to be location manager dot longitude. I'm just going to make this wider so you can kind of see what's going on, because that's all on one line. So we've got our if statement. So I'm going to double tap on that so I can put an else statement in. So this is if we don't have location. We're going to create another view here. Alternate view, let's call it. And for me, I'm just going to put the text error loading location. So then I'm not too sure if it'll work in the simulator. I'm going to build, and it succeeded. So I'm going to run it here in the preview. So error loading location. Okay, we found the problem. So in this weather app in location manager, I'm actually just requesting location. What I should be doing is requesting when in use authorization if it's not determined. So I need to go manager dot request, instead of request location, that's what we had, request when in use authorization. So again, this should be building, and this time it should actually ask for location. So if we allow it while using app, it should then update with our current location data. You can also play with this up the top. You can't see on my screen, unfortunately. You can adjust a couple of things. The first thing you can do is you can adjust the location of the simulator. So up the top, you go to features, which unfortunately you can't see. And then you go down to location, and then you can do a custom location. You can do none, or you can put in whatever you want. So that's the first thing, to play with the location coordinates, because this is a simulator. If you were running this on a real device, it would actually use the device's location. The second place that I suggest you go to is the WeatherKit place. So that's developer.apple.com/WeatherKit /get started, this one here. And so from there, if you scroll down, you can see what's included with your membership, and further down again, you can see the data points, field mapping. So these are all the things that are available to you. So in Swift, you can see the time zone, the hourly forecast, the apparent temperature, the humidity, dew point, cloud cover. That's the icon that we used as a symbol name. The moon phase, the ozone, precip intensity. So precip means rain. So that's how much rain has fallen. The intensity, how fast it's falling. The max intensity, so how the fastest it's fallen. The probability is valuable, so that's how much chance there is of rain. The sunrise time, sunset time, the temperature, the high and low, I'm assuming that's for today, as well as the high and low time, so you can tell what time it's going to be hot or cold. You've also got the visibility, your wind bearing and gust and wind speed, etc. So there's a lot of information here as well. So this is worth a read if you're looking for particular data points. That's developer.apple.com/weather/get started. Hopefully this has been valuable.